There's a legend round here. A killer buried, but not dead. A curse on Crystal Lake. A death curse. Jason Voorhees' curse. They say he died as a boy, but he keeps coming back. Few have seen him and lived.
Welcome back, everyone, to this week's show of Master of the Universe podcast. Joey Cage here with the old Christopher J. And
how's it going?
This week we're going to be talking about what movie, Chris?
We're going to be talking about the one and only Friday the 13th, 2009 remake.
And when we got started on this fucking Friday the 13th kind of run here through all the films, you were like, I can't wait till we get to the remake. I can't wait till we get to the remake, because that was like one of the first movies you've seen, right? Some shit like that, or horror movies, yeah.
Yeah, horror movie was. I would definitely say it's probably, well, it's definitely the first Jason movie I ever saw, and then, yeah, it's definitely early for me in terms of the horror movies I saw. I mean, because I grew up, they always played the Child's Play 1, 2, and 3 on USA back in the 90s, but that really was it for me. I'd never seen Nightmare on Elm Street, never seen really any Friday the 13th, Halloween, none of that. So yeah, this is pretty OG for me.
Did you see this in theaters when it came out, or?
I did, as a matter of fact. It was President's Day weekend on a Saturday night.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about it. This one was a pretty funny story. I remember going out to some it was the Mayan Theater or something like that with some chick. Her name was Melly, dude. She was over like a son of a bitch. And, of course, Ray knows who I'm talking about because I would always talk about her at the gym. He's like, remember when you had Melly? Remember that, kid? Doing all that, But, yeah, I remember seeing it in theaters and just like, wow, dude, like that was badass, because this movie is like right in between that time when horror movies became kind of dumb and then they were getting good again. You know what I mean? Like in the 90s, they kind of like were generic. And then in the 2000s, they started coming. They're coming out of it. They started coming out of it and started making shit that was a little bit better. And then, like in the 2010s, I think horror movies have been brought back. Oh, yeah, we brought it back. So that's.
I agree with you on that because I mean, like if you look at the 90s and look at the late 90s, I mean, you talk about fucking Scream and you talk about Blair Witch and all that. I mean, that was crap.
You don't like any of those, huh? I liked Blair Witch when it came out. Now, I mean, I haven't seen it in years, and I don't really care. I don't really care to Scream. Like, I think it's an okay movie, but not the way. I mean, I don't know. We'll talk about them again. I don't want to like throw our judgment out yet because we will review those and kind of pick them apart. But anyway, before we get too deep into this concert, got to give a shout out to old Gabriel, ManBeast01 on Instagram. Man, he made our logo for Master of the Universe podcast here. So, guys, definitely go to his Instagram. That's ManBeast, ManBeast, as in Tango 01, Gabriel Rodriguez, and he does a lot of different artwork. I'm sure he'll do something for you for the right price. Money.
And very good artwork he does, very talented. I can't draw stick figures, so some of the shit I've seen from him just amazes me, but we thank him for that.
Yeah, he's a really good artist, man, and the cool thing about him is that he's got like Monster Vision, which is like like the TV gimmick. And it used to be where Joe Bob Briggs, I don't know if you know who Joe Bob is, but
I do.
Yeah, he used to have that show in the 90s showing horror movies. So Monster Vision follows Gabe, and then also Don Coscarelli who's one of my favorite directors, dude. One of my favorite directors is drawing the guy that did the logo for my podcast. Don Coscarelli, for those of you who don't know, he's the director for Phantasm, Beastmaster, Boba Hotep, and John dies at the end and all that. But really badass director, and I thought it was really cool. I was like, what? Don Coscarelli follows this guy? Like, you know, and I'm assuming it's because he's done the Tall Man drawing. But no, a badass artist. When I really wanted to get the podcast a little bit more legit, I was like, well, you know, let's try and get this guy, and thankfully he did it. So go ahead and guys go like his page on Instagram, and like I said, I know he does artwork. I'm not too sure if he has it like where you can. I'm pretty sure you can request and he'll do stuff for you. But you got to ask him for his prices. But he was nice enough to get us over. But check him out. But Christopher, on to Friday the 13th. Now this is going to be a super podcast, baby. Because we're basically going to talk about Friday the 13th, the remake, right? But we're also going to talk about just whole Friday the 13th in general, this long journey. This will be the last podcast that we do on Friday the 13th. We've done all the films, 1 through 8, Jason Goes to Hell, Jason X, and now we're here, and we're going to be doing the Halloween ones next, because per request for Christopher J. and per request that October is going to be. We're doing this on September 28th, so we're going to be, you know, hopefully getting a few uploads. It'll be probably, we're going to try to do like 2 uploads a week. So if you guys are into Halloween films or not, you want to hear us trash it, whatever the case is, we'll be taking a look at those for the first time. But now, Chris, let's go ahead and talk about this this bad boy. So, you know, before we go into some of the scenes, dude, what are your overall thoughts with this thing, dude? What did you? Well,
I mean, maybe it's just nostalgia and you know, memory of a first time, you know, kind of joy. But I love watching this movie. I mean, to me, this is a horror film. It's not too paranormal where it's the constant startles and the fear of what someone's going to sneak up on, but it's not too like just the just raw gore of just like a slasher film. Like, it's the perfect combination, and it's, you know, it plays out very well, and you're waiting to see what happens, and you just, I mean, yeah, it's douchebaggy teens, but I mean, that's every horror movie, right? I mean,
yeah, you're waiting to see what happened, huh? All right, that's how we're doing things tonight, huh? But when I put the film on, like seen it for the first time and seen it again, that intro is probably like one of the best segments in any Friday the 13th period. The first like 20 minutes, like they do a condensed of like the first movie with, you know, basically the whole film was they condensed the first 3 or 4 films together. Which right. It's really like it's like the first 5 films or even 6, because they have the over-the-top characters that you didn't like in part 5, but here they're like, it reminds me of like almost the exact same way when you have that one guy that's like touching the mannequin. He's like, "You're so tight, girl. You're so tight. Yeah, I want to fuck you so hard."
I remember our first time. 15
years. You remember when you took my virginity? Yeah, it's like, it reminds me exactly of Junior, dude, and fucking Ethel and shit. He's like, "Bah." Like, it's like they go full circle with this one. They just took like, you know, they have the token black guy, they got the token Asian guy, they got the token, I guess supposed to be jock or rich kid, you know, being an asshole 24/7. So they have it all, and they have kind of like a psycho type thing where like or even like with Alice in the first one, where you think the girl's gonna be the main girl, and then they kill her off at the end, and I was like, oh shit, like I wasn't expecting that. But it was a good film. I enjoyed it. It's for me, like, of course we'll do all the rankings when we're done with this, but it's like right in the middle. It's like on the higher or the lower right in the middle, where it's like one of the it's where the better films are at. Like I really did like it. You know, I just have.
Yeah, I'm definitely not gonna put it above like the originals, like the early originals, but it's definitely better than some of the laters of the original series.
Yeah, no, really cool shit. I was laughing when you said Trent looked like Tom Cruise. I was like, yeah, dude. I was like, that's who he looks like, 'cause it's like he looks so familiar. He even has the same kind of like smirk, asshole-ish that Tom Cruise has, like in most of his films when he has that. But the film starts off and it's kind of like, I like how they do it because it's supposed to take place on June 13th, 1980, which is when the original film was released, but the original film was released in the 80s or it was 79 or some shit. And it was like, oh, this happened in the 60s or 50s, whatever it was. But now it's like, oh, this happened in 1980, and now we're in, modern time, which is cool because, and not everyone's dressed like a bunch of losers. No, I'm just kidding. Like the guy from the first one, what's his name? Chris, David, something Christie, the guy.
Oh, Steve Christie.
Steve Christie, dude, with those short-ass shorts, dude. We never have to go through that shit again. But yeah, it starts off when we see a young Jason Voorhees see his mother get beheaded by a camp counselor because she's like trying to escape because like basically it's telling the story of the first film where she's trying to avenge the death of her son.
Right.
So I mean, I thought that was like pretty cool, but like it's kind of weird, don't you think? I mean, like I don't complain, but I'm just saying like. They had that little section as like a beginning, like as a flashback for like 2 minutes or so. Like, you should have been watching him. And then they have where we think the movie starts, but it's where Jason kills everyone in the beginning and goes on a fucking spree. And then the movie starts. So it's like two different introductions. What did you like? Well, there's a lot to like, but what did you think about, I guess, those segment bullshits?
I mean, they did, starting out that way, they did what they had to do, to make the movie work. Because if you're starting off a whole new script, painting on a whole new canvas, and so maybe, and especially like a newer viewer like myself, I didn't know the story.
Yeah.
It's just a thing of you have to tell that story of Mrs. Voorhees, whatever, Pamela, yeah, that's the name, Pamela. Getting beheaded by one of the camp counselors she's pursuing, and I mean that was after her reign of terror, mind you. So it's kind of live by the sword, die by the sword. So you got to tell that, but you don't have all the time in the world because I mean this is already a decent length movie. It's not over 2 hours, but at the same time, how much more story do you tell before you make this a 3-hour ordeal?
Yeah, no, I like exactly like you said. It's a perfect popcorn fun movie. Like you're just there to like it's something you just put on in October and you're like, oh, let's watch a horror movie, and it's not boring at all. You know what I mean? Like there's some Halloween. There's some Friday the 13th films. Like even the first one, I like it, but I mean it kind of drags for the most part for about a good 40-50 minutes. And even the ones I do like I honestly like Friday the 13th like 2 and 3 and 4 better than this one. Spoiler. But like this one, there's not a spot I can honestly say where I'm bored at all. Because in those films, there is certain spots where I'm like, okay, it's been 5-10 minutes, nothing's really going on. They have like some conversation and shit or whatever. But now this whole film, like, yeah, I'm glad I'm so glad you said that, dude. There's a guy that I listen to and he always says that. And he's like, I'm so glad you said that. And it's like you have to pretend like that no one has seen this. You're seeing this. They don't know about the Jason films. They just know it's Friday the 13th. What's going on? Oh, this little boy saw his mom get fucking beheaded, and now he's a fucking maniac killing everyone. So that's pretty good, And I'll tell you what, dude. When we get, long story short for the intro, when we fucking see Jason show up when that guy's taking a piss on the weed plants, and just fucking attacking everyone. My God, that is badass shit, dude.
Oh, it's savage. It's brutal. I mean, yeah, poor Wade. He's the kind of, I don't want to say nerdy, because I mean I think he's an all right enough dude, but I mean he's the fifth wheel. You could tell he's more the intellectual, geeky guy that and he, the two guys, they have their girlfriends that they're banging there, but then the other, he's the geeky intellectual that's like has all the up to date devices and gonna locate the weed plant so they can go steal it and sell it,
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I had thought the same thing when I was watching it. I was like, you have these two, like the two couples that are there, like they're just having a good time, and you got this guy, like, yeah, he's supposed to be perceived as the loser, so we're gonna address him as such, like the geek or whatever, because he doesn't have a girlfriend. Everyone else has a girlfriend. Everyone is got so he's just there, but he's the one that's like getting him to go out there, and like right away. There's like 5 deaths with Pam Voorhees, but it's Wade. Like you said, he's there and he gets fucking. Well, they all get hit in the head basically
but he slices him on the ear, and like when what's the name is it Mike who finds him, and no, I'm sorry, not Mike. Richie is the one in the tent that gets out there to go yell at Wade.
Oh, he's the one that. he's the one that got it the worst, dude. Right?
Yes.
Because he's the one that got the leg in the bear trap, and then he's like, oh, and then Jason like splits his fucking head open with it.
I mean, split his fucking skull in two exactly with that fucking machete. And I mean, on top of that, before even any of that, before the steel trap, ankle claw, and then getting split in the head, he sees Wade's fucking ear and the apple ear pod fucking hanging from a fucking little plant.
Yeah, he starts looking for him. So they go out there, they're looking for like weed or something. Yeah, for weed, and they, in between all of this, of course, they have the sex scene with Amanda and Mike. I think it's Amanda and Richie. But yeah, Amanda, I started laughing because, of course, like whenever I watch these films, I always watch the review, and like Amanda, like she's fucking fine as fuck. Like she looks finer like in pictures than she does in the actual movie. She looks like kind of like a little bit older. But I was laughing when someone had, like, one of the reviewers is like, and we have Amanda, the teenager, played by a 35-year-old woman. Because I was like, she looks way older in the film than she does like in like any other pictures. She's got the tan, got the fake tits and everything, and I was just like, oh, that's fucking classic. But
insert clip of Scary Movie 1 where they're sitting at the fountain at the school. It's like they have guys in their late 20s, early 30s playing us.
The first kills, like I said, Amanda, she gets, and they do a similar kill, isn't it? Like it's not similar but it's a body bag or a sleeping bag in part 7, yeah. And that's when Jason hits it against the tree, and then he also does it in Jason X too, I believe, when they're in that virtual reality thing.
Yeah.
So this,
camping girls.
Yeah, it's always like a sleeping bag, but I mean, I'm not gonna shit on them for using a sleeping bag gimmick. I mean, it is a fucking Friday the 13th film, and it was actually really fucked up, and I was like wondering, I was like, how come I didn't catch fire? I didn't know that like a lot of sleeping bags are like fireproof and shit because of you're using them to go sleep by campfires. So yeah, she's just like cooking in that motherfucker, and I was like, wow, that's fucked up. And then yeah, the other guy, Mike, he looks like he's like half black or something like that. Hey, they're in like that's when they go into the am I right? They go into the cabin, right? And they start looking around and they find Pamela's head. Yeah, I was making sure.
And you were right. You were dead on that. I just have to say, it's like, I mean, this is a few more current, more contemporary version of this. It's like everything is bigger in the later years. Like fucking, inflation's gone up, fucking people's waistlines are fucking bigger than they used to be in the 70s, 80s, all that shit. Well, one thing that's also bigger in 2009 versus the 80s is Jason's middle of the woods rundown shithouse.
Oh, yeah. Rundown middle of the woods shit. That motherfucker's house gets fucking over, dude. I was laughing at we'll talk about it at another time. We'll talk about it now. But it was like people laughing at Jason's house in part 2, and they were like, "How come Jason's like in the middle of the woods, but he's got like a curtain by his window? Like, is he ashamed or something? Like, who else is in there with him?" And I started laughing, and then one guy's like, "It's to control the smell when he's in the restroom."
I mean, fuck. I mean, nowadays, if he could get internet connection out there, he could order that poopery shit on QVC.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. But all of a sudden, after so all that happens, and we think, we're gonna fast forward and just give the spoiler if you haven't seen a movie that's fucking over 10 years old. Is we have Whitney as part of the crew, and like Jason, like he is gonna slash her, right? Like that's where it cuts off. Like he's running up to her and he's got the machete, and we're faked out. We're like, oh, yeah. Everyone died, and you're like, for me when I saw it, I was all like, I was completely surprised and taken, I was like, wow, this is really cool. this movie's not fucking around. Jason's just here killing everyone like the way it's supposed to be. But she does survive, and we see her at the end, and she is the final girl with her brother Clay, which is a connection with Friday the 13th 4. Because part 4, it's that one dude, I forget his name, but he's all like, he's killing me. You remember that guy?
Oh, yeah. The one that she meets out in the woods and they're going through newspaper clippings. And that's right.
Yeah, it's him. So, well, that's not him, but that's like what that character they based it off of. And he's the brother of, I think, Vicky or something. I forgot which girl it is exactly, but it's from part 2.
Yeah. And now here you've got this guy, Clay.
Yeah.
And doesn't call people kid. And he's the brother of Whitney, and Whitney's been missing. And it's just a really odd story because, like, when you think about it, he tells this cop, hey, our mother had cancer. Whitney took care of her day after day for months. Then it's time for the funeral, and Whitney shows the funeral. Now think about that. Whitney's taking care of him day after day, month after month. She dies. And then doesn't go to the funeral, but she goes to a middle of the woods camp out looking for weed.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. It's kind of a weird, fucked up kind of, a lot of plot holes here and there. And you're just like, okay, so she's are we supposed to like her when she's going out to the woods because they're looking for weed or whatever? And, well, her dude was that half black guy or whatever he was, Puerto Rican. Like, he seemed like one of the nicer guys out of the bunch, so I guess.
And ironically, his name is Mike.
Son of a bitch. So yeah, I was like, okay, but yeah, we get fast forward, like I said, we get faked out, fast forward, and we got a group of teens that are going to Trent, our asshole of the bunch, family cabin, and all I can think it's Trent. We got Chewie, who's the Asian guy that also actually comes out on A Nightmare on Elm Street. You remember him?
Yes.
He's the guy. He's the guy that like passes out on the computer. Like there's a video. And Freddy kills him in his sleep that's being recorded on a laptop or whatever the fuck. Remember that?
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah, I was like, I've seen him before.
I almost forgot that.
Yeah, I was like, I've seen him before, and then I was like, oh, it's that fool. So
by the way, I'll put over us since I took a little not taking a shot, but just it ended up being that way, with the name. So I'll give you one of my names. So this guy Trent, this character Trent, reminds me of a guy I went to school with. His name was you're gonna laugh. His name was Jeremy Wanneberger. And he was this blonde-haired guy. And I had known this guy in, like, elementary, like, earlier grades. And then he went to some private school. And then I see him again in 6th grade. And then he ends up being this, like, he's a little blondie guy. And comes from, like, an upper-middle-class family and stuff. But he ends up being in good with all, like, the gangsters and stuff. And he starts dressing like them and acting like them and stuff. And he just had an assholishness to him. And I don't know what he's like now. I haven't seen him in 20-something years. But it's like he reminds me of that guy.
So out of these guys, then we also have Jenna, which is Trent's girlfriend, and Bree is Bree. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, there's not too many fucking characters. Or let me see.
Jenna is the girlfriend, but then Bree is the one that he ends up banging when.
That's the one. Okay, because I was like, I know there's another chick. So there's Bree. Lawrence is the black guy, Chewie, and then there's a Chelsea. Okay, is that? Yeah, Chelsea, and then Nolan. He's the white guy, right? With the okay, because I was like, I didn't realize there were so many fucking people in here. Anyway, so we'll go ahead and go through these motherfuckers. So it's supposed to be like 6 weeks later, and then Trent goes, with Jenna, Chelsea, Bree, Chewie, Nolan, and Lawrence, and they arrive at the cabin, and I started laughing at one of the jokes. They're like, I'm working on a rap album. I'm working on an album or a singer. What kind of music? And she's like, what, rap? He's like, what does he say? What is he saying? What do you gotta?
Why you gotta be racial about it? How, what, just because I'm black I can't listen to Green Day?
Yeah, that's what it is. Like, what? Okay, what kind of music? It's rap. So I'm like, I was laughing. I was like, what kind of people would hang out with this guy? And then I remembered our friend Mark.
Yeah.
He was all like, hey, I started laughing because, like, how you had said, like, what was your plot hole? Oh, that she's supposed to be a good girl, but she's going out there looking for weed. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Well, like, Trent, like, it's like they didn't think through what they were writing down. He's all like, hey, get your feet off the chair or whatever the fuck, right? Whatever it was to Chewie. And then I swear, dude, like 30 seconds later, he's like, okay, guys, Make yourselves at home. Mi casa y su casa. And I'm like, you're over here getting mad at everyone, and you're telling them just to make themselves at home. Like, this guy's making no fucking sense, dude. I guess he's written that way, but I was like, it's fucking ridiculous. But our first group of kills is Chelsea and Nolan, and I started fucking laughing, or Donnie too, because we'll go to Donnie because that's our homeboy. He's our everything here is exaggerated, and Donnie, we gotta mention him because it's so fucking stupid and ridiculous. We have Clay, which, before I forget, he's kind of looking for his sister. He's at the gas station, and I think we meet everyone at the gas station first, don't we?
You do, and then Chewie gets out there. It's like, my God, babies in the uterus have more space to move.
Yeah, and so they're there, and he's all like, "Hey, you're taking up the line, all asshole," and the guy's like trying to just look for his sister, and yeah, I was just kind of like laughing. This movie, if we ever get to it, it really and I got confused the other day. It really reminds me of Alien vs Predator 2. Like, a lot of the stuff that's in here is like very similar, and I was all like, oh shit! Like, I think they probably came out kind of close together too. But anyway, so that's where we meet Clay. So we see this guy who's the sister of Whitney, looking for her, and he goes to these houses, and it goes throughout the film, but he goes up to this old lady, and she reminds me of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, one of the newer films, the remake ones. And I'm pretty sure she's in one of them because she looked very familiar. I haven't looked, but she's like, yeah, I'm just looking for my sister. And of course, like, there's like a dog jump scare and all that bullshit. And she's like, people go missing around here, they gone for good, or they're dead.
You're talking about Forrest Gump's mom.
Yeah, that bullshit. I was like laughing. I was just like, I kind of liked it because it kind of like it set the tone for what you're not going to expect help in this area, No. So I was okay with it. And the director, he's the same director for I don't know if you know this, for the 2003 remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I am aware of that. You're talking about Marcus Nispel.
That's him. Yeah, I was looking at it. I was like, this film reminds me a lot. Like, they have that certain look. Like, this film's really dark too. Like, as far as color wise, it's real. And I was like, oh, no wonder. It's like the same fucking director.
Now, he also was director in this 2011 remake of your boy Conan the Barbarian.
I hate that fucking remake. No wonder. It's like, so, like, I hate that. Like, it's too much shade. It looks too fake. You know what I mean? Like, this film was a lot better. I didn't have any problems. I think certain scenes with Jason, they look kind of weird, like the color. But I mean, oh fucking well. And then I started laughing at some of the way, like, Jason's outfits look on the other films, so not a big deal. But yes,
I like the Jason look on this one. Like it's just a very raw kind of organic look, and I like his movement in this. Like he's not this cumbersome, slow moving, and kind of teleporting. He's this, like, he moves very swift compared to the originals. Speaking of how he looks, like, this is where he gets like he's got the we see him unmask, in the beginning as a kid, we see him with the burlap sap or just whatever the fuck that is, and we see him with the hockey mask in this film, and I love that about that this film is that they implemented all those things that, because as much as I thought, growing up or whatever, like, that the sackhead Jason looked kind of dumb. Like, he's really, like, grown on me because it looks so fucking freakish. You're like, what the fuck? It's like, it's just creepy.
Yeah, exactly. And this one, it's probably better than the original one. The way he wraps his head, it looks more like it's something you would do to put on a mat if you were wearing a fucking sack on your head. You know what I mean? The way it's tight.
What that looks like, it reminded me of when the Israel-Palestine thing was fucking hot in the early 2000s, and they were covering every day, and they'd always go, there was this one militia called the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigades, and whenever they'd interview any of their leaders, they would wear like the flag but wrapped around their head, and that's what fucking Jason's head looks like. It's like he just took a big ass blanket or cloth and wrapped it around his head.
Yeah, no, it looks badass. Like, when we see him, going back to the beginning, when we see him, like, when that first fool Wade sees him, and you just see him, like, he goes like, oh, and he gets scared and he sees him, and you're like, man, that silhouette looks crazy. Well, not a silhouette, but like the outline of him, you don't see him fully, but the way his, like, mask looks, you're like, holy shit. I thought it was really really done well. But anyway, Clay's looking for his sister. He runs into Donnie, and Donnie's doing some shit, and he's all like, "Hey man, you about to open up a can of whoop ass?" What does he tell him? Some bullshit like that. He's just,
yes.
"You're gonna turn on the ass whooping machine or whatever the fuck." And I'm like, "Oh, this guy's fucking ridiculous, right?" And Clay, I think Clay's all like way bigger than him too, but of course the guy's like too big for his britches and shit.
He looks like, and fucking Clay, can I just say, and I told you this before, but he looks like fucking Richard Tyson from 3 O'Clock High and Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah, he does, dude. But shortly after that, we find out what kind of, piece of shit Donnie is. And, like, he's going through his warehouse or whatever the fuck, in a garage, gimmick. And he hears a noise, and he, pulls down the curtain bullshit that's on, like, a mannequin. And that's when he starts talking to the, the mannequin. Like, "Oh, what's her name? Lisa, or what was it?"
Something like that.
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna fuck you so tight, girl." And then Jason runs up from behind him, dude. And
I love that. Can I just say, like, that was done perfectly. Like, he's just there, and then they show from behind him.
Yeah.
And then you just suddenly see Jason, like, that's what you
turn
need to
the
make
corner. Yeah,
Yes.
because you see you see him, and then Jason walks into view, and you're like, "Oh shit!" And you're kind of rooting for him, but you're also like a little like, "Oh shit, what's gonna happen?" Because you're like, you don't like this guy already, and then it happens again, like another throwback to Friday the 13th 3, when that one dude that gives Jason his mask, can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he's like Shelly, that's him, off the top of my head, but. The same way how he dies, like he's fucking with people, and then he shows up with his throat slit. Well, this guy gets his throat slit too, and like that's when he rips off Jason's mask, and then he sees the hockey mask, and that's how he gets it on this one. So kind of a connection the same way is like he finds the mask and he kills the guy that gave him his mask basically with the throat slit. Or at least for me, I made that connection. I was like, oh shit,
The sound of change, the gleam of the blade, run for your life.
Jason's got his hockey mask now from Donnie, and we're down to the folks that are at the cabin. And really quick, I mean these characters I really didn't nothing much just went on with them with what's his name, Nolan and Chelsea. They were just kind of
Matthew McConaughey Jr.
Dude, exactly, with that hair. I was like, that's like that. Like I know, I mean, oh, you know what? It is supposed to be in the 80s. Now that I think about it, right? Because it says like 6 weeks later. So yeah, it's not supposed to be modern day. I was wondering. I was like, I didn't see any cell phones.
No.
Yeah, I was thinking
it is, because remember the dude, what's his name, Wade, had that.
Oh,
that
you're right. That don't because Pamela died in 1980, and then this other shit happened 20 years later. So I know it's still 20 years later, but I was thinking like, oh, it's supposed to be basically modern, right? Whatever, and then
they're talking about Green Day, and they're talking about rap, and they're talking about the dude's got a Cadillac Escalade he drives up in.
Yeah, what's 30 years later? Yeah, but I'm like, but yeah, it just confused me now. I was like, no, yeah, I am right. But it's just like that hairdo's from like the fucking, that's from like, I mean, that's a Matthew McConaughey hair anyway. So him and his chick decide to go take the boat out, right? The yacht. And the speedboat, and fucking Jason, I started laughing. He's like, woo, or woo, whatever, and he gets fucking the arrow through the head, which, I mean, not exactly like the Friday the 13th 3 kill again, but it's like that arrow through the eye with the girl that tells her, like, Shelly, is that you? That fine-ass chick that comes out in whatever the fuck, what's that movie? Weekend at Bernie's, that chick, his wife or whatever, or his girlfriend, her. So she comes out in that shit. But anyway, he gets the arrow through the head, and his chick's like in the lake, and she gets hit, and I'm like, man, if that boat would have hit you like that, I mean, that probably would have just killed you right there and broke your neck, because she gets hit like in the face, Chelsea does, and she just gets like a bloody nose, and she's all like concussioned out. She goes underneath that like little bridge, and then Jason stabs her through the head, like when he's walking over it. And that's pretty brutal, but I like that. I started laughing because he stabs her through the head, and like it lifts her up, and her tits are like just there. It's just like a reason to show tits.
Yeah, and I mean it's that yeah, for sure, but it's also a well done scene because it's like, okay, I mean you can't really startle us to any degree. If he's walking on the dock, you see him, he's there, he's not going to sneak up on you. But now it's the thing of, is he gonna figure out where she is and surprise attack her? And sure enough, he fucking does. He gets that fucking machete through the boards.
Yeah. And then right after that, we get like back-to-back kills. The shit starts getting a little bit faster paced because we have the whole movie's fast paced, but during this whole time, Trent somehow makes his way to the boathouse. I don't remember how he does it, or to the boathouse, to the cabin, and what's her name? Jenny? Yeah, Jenna.
Jenna is the one that went with Clay, yeah.
Yeah, she like invites him in, and then I started laughing when what's his name? Trent's all like, hey man, I don't know you. You better get out of here before I get angry. And then he's like, and what happens after that? And he's like, yeah. I started laughing. I'm like, man, everyone here is a hothead.
You're writing checks with that mouth, man, saying shit like that. And the thing too is like,
yeah,
it escalated before that because he's like, yeah, you're right, you don't know me. That's funny, I just remember said that like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I remember just saying that old Christopher J. jab back. Yeah, I just remember saying that. Maybe my memory's a little bit foggy, but I just said that. And so he's back at the cabin while this shit's going on, and then it kind of goes to nighttime. Chewie fucks up a chair. They don't call me the Wood Wizard for nothing because I like to play with my penis or whatever the fuck.
Oh, that was a line I never forgot. Like, even I've forgotten like 90% of this movie since that one time I saw it in the theater, and even before I rewatched again a few weeks ago. That line's so good. They don't call me the Wood Wizard because I masturbate, and it's so dumb because like all it is because him and the chick, him and Bree, they both take shots. He's trying to impress her, taking a straight shot, no chaser. And that fucking knocks him on his ass, and he falls on this chair and like breaks his fucking chair.
Yeah. What's it called? So Chewie goes into the the garage, and he's all like, of course, tries to be jokey, and he's all like, here, you might need this, because he's like messing with the hockey stick, and he breaks the light or something. It'll go with your outfit. And he gets stabbed with a screwdriver. And then the black guy Lawrence, that hasn't done shit the whole film, just call out his race, gets an axe thrown at his back, and as he's running, he's there like help, whatever, and then like I think Clay's the one that says it. He's all like, no, he's using them as bait, which I like because Jason's like a fucking hunter. He's not just like this fucking brain dead motherfucker. He's out there in the woods surviving because he's like smart, but he's just fucking crazy. You know what I mean? And I thought that was.
You're right. You thought it was good because it is, because Clay, you find him. I mean, Clay is pretty much a white meat babyface, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, he's in a moral dilemma now because on the one hand, you want to go avenge the loss of these people, but at the same time, you know he's baiting us, and we're gonna fall right into his trap if we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's the voice of reason. I don't know how he would think that, but I mean, that's what Jason was doing anyways. You know, he knew, like, no, he's baiting us, and like as soon as like he knows it doesn't work, he like stabs him or he puts him through something. And then after that, Jason's in the fucking house. He ends up throwing Bree through the deer antlers, like picking her up and putting her through it, which is brutal. They call the cops. And that motherfucker, because they're inside, I think he knocks, and then he has like a fireplace poker, and he pokes him in the eye, but it goes through the door. They're like, everything just starts happening so fucking quickly. And I started laughing when Trent, like I forget like exactly how they do it, but they all end up like running out the house and everything like that. And Trent's got his gun, and of course, like in true Friday the 13th fashion, just like all the other ones. This kind of reminded me of Part 7 and shit. Like he's running through, or Part 6 and 7, like he's running through the woods, and he trips over like a big ass like mud puddle or whatever. He's like, "Oh God, where's my gun?" You know. I was like, dude, I would have been like cautious running, but I would have been like looking to shoot more than run, like in that situation, like back myself into a corner. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I want to see whatever's coming after me, you know, so I can start firing away. But Jason ends up, he stops like a tow truck kind of gimmick, and he like impales him with that like rail spike or whatever, because the guy like honks or whatever. And all this shit's fucking happening. Like, I'm just like, man, this film like all of a sudden just went, I mean, like classic Friday the 13th. But like the thing is that the classics, usually when they went this far, like it was like one person getting killed. I mean, they did it too, like at a time, but it wasn't so like everyone knew what the fuck was going on, and everyone's going crazy. Like, oh God, what's that? Oh, what's that? You know, like it's usually like two people together, and like they're the ones that know, and that's it. You know what I mean? For the most part, so it was cool to see like multiple people running and scrambling and all that bullshit. And then Jenna dies. She's our last kill of the movie. She gets impaled with a machete, and that's when they find Whitney again, right? Because they go to like they're running out there in the woods together, I think, and they find her like underneath Jason's house, like chained or something like that.
Yeah, and that is where you just absolutely fucking that movie throws you for a loop, is the fact that Whitney is still alive.
Yeah,
and you see at the beginning where he swings that machete. So what you say to yourself is, you remember, what's his name? Mike and his chick, whatever I forgot her name. Whitney. Yeah, it was Whitney. Mike and Whitney were in that house, and they see that little necklace thing, and who's in the picture of it?
Yes, that's what it is. And like so we're like kind of like we believe. We're supposed to like I guess get that Jason. Well, of course, like from Part 2 with Ginny. That Whitney looks like Jason's mom, Pamela. That's why he kept her alive and shit.
Like right before that microsecond before his machete hits her head, he stops himself. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Looks like mom.
Yeah, he's like, all right, that's how we're doing things now. So, yeah, towards the end, I mean, like I said, a lot of shit happens, and there's like a lot of callbacks, at least to me, where like they're in the barn, the way Part 3 was, you know, the whole Part 3 is like the one with the barn that I remember, you know, that's how I see it. Like, and then like they hang Jason, but they don't finish the movie. I thought they were gonna finish the movie like that with him being, you know, hanging with a metal chain, and then they put him in like that wood chipper or whatever the fuck, and his fucking helmets or his face mask is getting all chipped away at. And she's like, Jason, you know, say hi to mommy, or what did she say? Some bullshit, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and does she stab him with something? I know she stabs. I don't know if she cuts his throat or something, but she like kills Jason.
It's like there's some kind of like long sharp object she has, and that combined with his mask fucking getting eaten by the wood chipper, and him, you know, also getting eaten by the wood chipper too, because he gets like a chain wrapped around him too at some point, and it happened earlier in the movie to him too. Yeah. It's just he was able to stop it before it happened, but this time he was trapped.
That was scary. Like even for me, like being a Jason fan or rooting for them, it's like, oh, is Jason gonna go in the fucking wood chipper? It's like, how's there gonna be a sequel? You know. But so many, like, I can't remember because so much shit happened, like, where I thought it was gonna, like, be it. Like I said, him hanging, the wood chipper being stabbed. I don't know what he got stabbed with. You know, just so much shit. Towards the end, it was pretty crazy. But the ending, like, I started laughing because, like, it was kind of expected, but it was, again, like a combination of all the other ones. I'm like, why the fuck are they taking Jason to the lake to throw him in there? You know, but of course it's because you need to have Jason coming out of the lake, so of course they're gonna drag his ass to the lake and throw him in there in his mask, and then he pops up from underneath that little plank bridge, whatever the fuck you call it, and pulls Whitney down. And I was just like, okay, I was just like, didn't need all that. I would have liked for them to just, yeah, of course, all movies are gonna have the fake out, you know, but. Like the other ones, you thought that was it for Jason. Like, you know, he just was left hanging. He was just left. But the first one, well, is it the first two? Actually, yeah. They had Jason, and then they had Jason's mom popping out from the lake from part 2. But I would have liked to see Jason just, you know, look like he's dead momentarily and make a sequel. But fuck it, dude. It's the weekend.
Yeah. Let the baby face have their moment, escape, go home for the hell from wherever they are, get away from Camp Crystal Lake, go back home, and then. You know, then allude to something to hint that he might make a comeback. Because, you know, he's like that fucking guy in Double Dragon 2, that big-ass, swole-ass dude with the mask, and then he, like, vanishes and then reappears.
Double Dragon 2, the video game?
Yeah.
He wears a mask. Well, I know, yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, that dun, 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 dun.
Yes.
But yeah, once you hit him, then yeah, he disappears and he comes back.
And that for me, as a new Friday the 13th viewer, that for me was just amazing because, like, here is they're putting him through a fucking wood chipper. You don't come back from that, and then I'm like, well, fucking A, he came back from that. That was my Jim Cornette talking about Bret Hart going to the newspapers after Montreal. I was like, well, what's he gonna do? He's not gonna be able to. He's not gonna expose fucking business. Well, that's exactly what he fucking did.
Oh my god. So. Before we start doing our Friday the 13th talk, dude, what do you give this film as a rating, and what do you think about this film overall?
Oh, God, I'm going to give this one, I'm going to say 8.5.
Yeah? And your overall thoughts compared to the other ones? I mean, we'll go into more details, but this is just a general kind of ending rating for it.
I'm probably gonna say this is my number 3 of all the 10 of them, 11 of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's 11. Yeah, it's 11. Yeah, with me, out of a 10, I mean, not even taking the other ones into consideration, even though I might have rated those lower or higher, I'd give this one at 8.5 as well. I had certain problems with it, of course, because that's what we do is we pick apart movies, good, bad, but it's not going to say like, oh, just because this was bad or this was okay, it's got to be lowered. Like, no, I enjoyed the film. It's one of the way more enjoyable horror films where there's not a lot of waiting. There's annoying characters, sure, but I mean, fuck it, you know, it's supposed to be, you know, just teens. Do you know how teens, you know, even though they're not teens, they're like 20-something-year-olds. They're going to have their personalities that are like, you know, over the top, you know, and it's a good-ass film.
Your heart's beating faster. Your blood runs cold. You're haunted by visions of the stories they told. There's a master assailant, and he's out for you.
Well, really quick, man, I wanted to go ahead and just kind of run down the Friday the 13th franchise. We went through all 11 films. Let's go with character, dude. Let's go with your number one character. Who's your favorite character in the entire franchise? Of course, besides Jason. After watching all these films, and just like me, why basically?
Oh man, I mean, there's been so many characters in so many of these films, and not very many that I really like. I mean, I didn't there's also ones I didn't hate per se, but I mean, I liked I gotta say I liked Steve Christie. I know you're gonna laugh at that, but I did.
Why the fuck do you like Steve Christie out of everyone in this fucking franchise?
I mean, he seems like a good guy. I mean, yeah, he also comes across as like, a horn dog idiot trying to holler at Alice, but at the same time, like he's just a good guy. He's the early 30s probably, camp counselor, lead the teen camp counselors and all that, and he's looking out for everybody. He's nice to people at the restaurant. He seems cordial. He just seems like an okay dude. I have kind of a soft spot for him, I guess. I don't know why. It's dumb, but it just reminds me of me being like, he kind of reminds me of just me being in youth groups and shit when I was like in church as a kid. I guess that's probably why. Who else? I liked Shelley. He was an alright guy. I liked, Clay's a good guy. He's a white meat baby face. Could have been a little bit more likable naturally, but that's okay. Who else?
I just said one. I didn't say to name all the fucking characters.
Oh, my bad.
No, for me, I love Ginny from Part 2, and then a close second would be Chris Higgins from Part 3. Both ending girls. I like Ginny just because she's the one that like from the originals. She's like the person that understood Jason. Like I just laugh at her like dialogue. She's all like, like what about Jason? Because she hears a story about Jason and his mother. Like what if Jason's still out there? This whole time. What's he like? Some frightened retard? Like all this. Like what the fuck? But then she's smart enough to know like to use her child psychology on him. Like Jason, mother is talking to you and all that. Like I just a badass character. Chris is like the opposite of Ginny, but she's just fine. She's kind of like screaming the whole fucking time, but goddamn. Anyway, who's your least favorite character in the franchise, dude? I'll go first. The guy that's in the wheelchair from Part 2, dude. He's my least favorite.
I had no problem with him. I mean, I didn't really like him, but I didn't have a problem with him. But he's certainly not as de-baggage as some of the characters they've had. But oh gosh, it's a tie between that mom and her son in Part 5.
Oh, Junior and Ethel. Yeah, I can't stand the guy in the wheelchair just because like he just like that girl's. I think is it Vicky that's hitting on him the whole time, and like he's like just so fucking like I know I got it. I'm just like what the fuck, and he just had this like smirk, dude, like that Christopher J smirk about him, dude. Like the whole time, dude. Like he's just like I'm too good for everyone, dude. So yeah. He was doing that crap. So that's why I didn't like him, dude. And Vicky was, I think her name. I'm pretty sure it's Vicky. She's the one that's all like hitting on him, and I'm like, man, you're over here, and I think it's Mark. Actually, his name is Mark. Yeah, he's just a piece of shit. So next we're just gonna go through the films. So if you can go from your favorite to your least favorite, dude. And if you want to add just a 10-15 second reason why this is there, then go ahead. If you want me to go first, I'll go first. What do you want to do?
I'll go first. I don't really need to rationalize. I mean, I pretty much know what I think about him. Got to go with the very first one as being number 1. Second one is being number 2 because that's when you start to really see Jason, like not just a teenage boy that emerges from the water. I'm gonna go with this one for being number 3. I'm going to go with 7 for being number 4. I'm going to go with 4 for being number 5, 8 for being number 6. God, I still got 5 more to go. Okay, so I can narrow it down. I can do the bookends. Least favorite is going to be Jason X. That was absolute shit, absolutely horrible. And probably going to go with 5, but at least 5 had some continuity and some connection to the real Jason. Everything would just wasn't really him, but that one was horrible too. Jason Goes to Hell wasn't great. I popped at the end when Freddy reaches through the ground and grabs his mask, but Yeah, I can kind of leave it at that.
Yeah, for me, my number one has to be part two, just because I mean, I like the characters. Even like Mark, who I don't like, he's really fucking memorable, you know. So I love part two. That's my number one. Number two would be part four, just because Jason's a badass. Number three would be part three. I love it. I just don't like the quality of the film, like the way it looks like shit, but badass Jason, like when what's her face, Chris is out there on the boat at the end of it, just kind of the way part two ends, but like Jason sees her through the window and like comes outside, like that's so fucking frightening, even though it's during the day. Number four for me would be part six. Kind of goofy. It used to be one of my favorite ones, but kind of goofy out of all of them. Well, you know what? No, the remake will be my number four, and then part six. So that's five, and then after that, after part six, I would go with Jason Takes Manhattan, The New Blood, the original, Jason Goes to Hell, and then Jason X. So I would put part five right after Jason, right in the middle of Jason's 8 and 7, so right there somewhere. But yeah, I mean, I really hate Jason X, even though like I think Jason Goes to Hell's a piece of shit. Like Jason X is just fucking. As much as you hate characters in this film, or at least I do, they're like perfect compared to that fucking movie. Like after seeing that, like it makes you appreciate, like, yeah, this guy's over the top, but at least he's not a bad actor.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. So yeah, anyway guys, I hope you guys enjoyed our Friday the 13th franchise review, Friday the 13th 2009 remake review, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.